Hi, my name is Michael. I'm 25 years old. Many of you have wondered, what would you do if you had $1 million? Some of you will say that they would buy some expensive real estate. Some would want to buy a yacht. Some of you would invest this money in Google and Tesla stocks. And someone would save this money for their children's college tuition. But some of you might just throw this money away and go to Las Vegas and spend all the money on gambling until the last cent. Or waste everything on glamorous restaurants, limousines, go-go girls. Just throw the money away and do not care a damn thing about the future. This is exactly what I do. I just throw money away every day. In many cases, people just do not know how to best manage their money and make their money grow, and they just spend what they have. And later, many of them regret that they spent everything and saved nothing. But for me, it's a different story. I never regret the money spent. And even when I do not have a single dollar in my pocket, I feel relief. And on the opposite side, when I have too much money on me, I get anxious. You might think, what a freak! How can you be anxious when you have a lot of money? But this is only a part of my problem. Not only do I spend all my money on things I do not need, I also give my money all away to other people, just as free good. Many people who know me think that I live a very rich life because I often buy real estate and expensive gadgets. Other people think that I'm a man with a very big heart because I donate lots of money to charity. But in fact, all of them are wrong. I live in cheap motels and charity is just a way for me to get rid of my money. Wait, you might say, but what about my property that I just mentioned above? I don't own it either. I give it all away to strangers and poor people. Now you might think, this is madness. But alas, for me this is just the way I live. And this is my biggest problem. Why do I let all my money go down the drain and get rid of it whenever I can? The answer is simple. I've got a very rare kind of phobia called plutophobia. People with plutophobia might think fear not only for wealth or for money, but also for wealthy people. They may think that rich people are greedy and unreliable. As a result, I always break all relations with people as soon as I find out that they have a lot of money. Also, plutophobes can be afraid of becoming rich themselves. Plutophobic people can intentionally sabotage and ruin their careers as so as not to make a lot of money. There was a period in my life that I got a regular job in the office, but I avoided work and I did not work on my career. At the end, I was fired. This fear is also connected to psychological pressure that comes along with wealth. Plutophobes worry that their family and friends will force them to financially support them, or that they themselves will start using and manipulating other people if they become rich. People can also develop plutophobia as a means to protect themselves, as they believe that the wealth will make them more vulnerable to criminals and thieves. And all these things had an impact on my own life. But there was one thing that affected me the most. Now I will tell you what happened to me. My family was very poor, and my parents hated rich people. My grandfather thought all rich people were thieves and rascals. At the same time, my uncle was a wealthy businessman. He was very arrogant towards the poor and treated them as low class. But once he got into an accident. Burglars burst into his house and took his maid as a hostage. As a result, they took all his cash and jewelry away. Still, my uncle resisted and did not want to give out everything to them. And then they just killed him. Shortly after his death, his solicitor announced his will. I was announced the only heir to all of his fortunes. My family hated the rich, and they put a strong pressure on me. They all wanted to manage the money which I inherited. I could not stand this pressure, and one day I just ran away from home. I lived my own life, invested all my money into a new startup, and by the age of 21, I became a millionaire. I got married, everything was wonderful, until an accident happened that changed all my life. It was the same thing that happened to my uncle. I was robbed by bandits. I could have died, but I survived. It all happened when my wife and I decided to go to the Bahamas on our vacation. But last minute, I remembered that I had to finalize two more pending business deals. So I sent my wife to the Bahamas and I told her that I would come in just 2 weeks after I am done with my work. So I returned home right from the airport and all of a sudden stumbled on a gang of burglars. They captured me and tied me up. They locked me in my home basement and I survived for almost a week without any food. The only water I drank was dripping on top of my head from a broken pipe. I thought this was just the end. My whole life flashed before my eyes. I could not even cry for help. I finally got rid of the adhesive tape they put on my mouth, but I did not have the energy to scream out loud. Fortunately for me, a communal service representative came and found me there. It turned out that my neighbors noticed that my home basement pipe broke down and flooded the home lawn with water. They called the communal service company to come and do the repair. I should have punished my old plumber, an old Mexican fellow, for this accident. But this time, I thank God he was such a bad plumber, as it saved my life. All my troubles started right after this accident. I was really scared I will be robbed again. I started looking around me every minute. I was scared of every single rustle or whisper. I was afraid I will repeat my uncle's tragic life and death. I had a constant fear that burglars were all over my place. I hired an expensive top-quality professional security team, like they hire for president security. But my phobia just got worse and worse. I was waking up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat and I screamed of fear. In all this luxury, I was feeling worse and worse every day. So one day, I just dismissed all my servants and security guards, and I left my home and I started living in motels. My wife tried to support me for a long time. She hired the best doctors and psychiatrists for me, but it didn't help. Eventually, after all my extravaganza, when I threw my money away, she said she could not stand it any longer, and she filed for divorce. Who would like it? When you come to your great country house and you see homeless people all over the place. I gave away my country mansion to the homeless as a social housing. After that, I did other crazy things. I transferred millions of dollars to the accounts of charity foundations. I sent money to the social organizations who fight poverty in the emerging countries. And finally, I just gave out cash to random people on the street. I came to the bar and bought drinks for everyone. I was buying up all the goods in shopping centers and just gave them away to people around. As a result of my reckless behavior, my wife finally left me. She flew away to the Bahamas to live on her own. Of course, I left her a solid fortune so that she can live in comfort until the end of her life. Finally, I gave away all the money I had. It was empty in my pockets. I could only wear t-shirts and shorts without pockets, so that I do not carry any money in my pockets. To support myself, I got a job in the office, but was soon fired. Then I got a low-end job as a janitor at a gas station. It was close to a cheap motel where I rented a room. Still, I tried to stay away from money and refused to take any tips during my work at a gas station. My fear for money was completely breaking me down. However, time passed by. And since I moved into a gas station motel, I started feeling more relaxed, as I did not have a lot of money then. The psychological recovery time lasted for about half a year. One day, a young man drove up to a gas station, and he asked me to fill a full tank of gas, to wipe the front windows, and check the car oil level. After that, he handed me quite a big tip. I refused to take it. He was surprised. So I told him about my phobia. He was very interested, and then I told him everything that happened in my life. Then he invited me for a lunch at a local cafeteria. There we talked a lot. We met more often. He was probably the only person who understood me. He also had a phobia, but a different one. He was afraid to stay alone for a long time, so he often stayed in crowded places. After a few weeks, he and I became friends. And once Jack suggested that we do business together. He would get us the investment money, and I would use my business acumen and professional experience. As a result, our joint business took off, and I became wealthy again, even more wealthy than I was before I got my phobia. Jack also became a millionaire. And then my fears came back to me again. I was thinking to move away from Jack and our business and give away all of my money and then hide somewhere again. And then something happened and everything changed. One day, I saw how Jack treated people who were poor and less fortunate than us. An old cleaning lady was carrying away the garbage from the nearest diner, and suddenly she stumbled. He helped her get up, and he carried the trash bag for her. He even got dirty. When he came back to me, he said, "No matter how much money you have, the most important thing is to always remain a human being." After this day, I stopped being afraid of rich people, and I realized that you shouldn't judge different people by the same standards. Jack advised me to get a medical treatment with a very good psychoanalyst. After many long sessions of professional treatment, I finally succeeded to overcome my phobia. I still donate money to charity now and then out of my habit though. And I was still scared that one day some burglars would rob me again, and I would end my life like my uncle did. But one day, when Jack and I were having a walk around the city center, a burglar with a knife stopped us. He demanded that we give him away our wallets. I immediately felt nausea. My eyes went blank. I was desperately frightened, and I realized my life will turn into a nightmare again. I fell to my knees. But then Jack calmly pulled out his wallet and gave all the cash to the robber. At this moment, something frightened the robber off, and he immediately disappeared with the money. And then Jack turned to me and said, "Money is just pieces of paper. Yes, they are very important pieces of paper one cannot survive without, but no money in the world is worth a human life." When I heard these words, I felt that my fears have finally disappeared, and I finally got rid of my plutophobia. Well, not exactly. Now I got an opposite type of a phobia. I became obsessed with money. I can't stop making it. Even when I sleep, I still think about money. Before, money hunted for me in my dreams. Now it's me who's chasing it. So this is my story. What do you think about it? Do you have any phobias yourself? Please share your thoughts in the comments tab. And if you liked the video, please subscribe and press like button.